to guard, to help, to exalt, and raise very high the head of the government, the advisors, in the Philippines. We're going to be saying now in our language, which is Hebrew. הנותן תשועה למלכים ושל הנסיכים, מלכות ומלכות כל עולמים, הפוצע את דוד עבדו מחרב רע, הנותן בים דרך ובמים עזים נתיבה, הוא יברך וישמור וינשוא ויעזור וירומם וינשא למעלה למעלה את כל אנשי הממשלה ויועציהם. מלך מלכי המלכים ברחמיו ישמרם ויחיים מכל צרה ונזק יצילם. מלך מלכי המלכים ברחמיו ייתן בליבם ובלב כל יועציהם רחמנות לעשות טובה עמנו ועם כל ישראל אחינו בימיהם ובימינו תיוושע יהודה וישראל שכון לבטח ובא לציון גואל וכן יהי רצון ונאמר Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. And now we'll have a message from the ambassador of the State of Israel, Ambassador Netanyahu.
Well, Ambassador Netanyahu, not yet, but I have... Please sit it, please. That's with Netanyahu, I maybe a competition with my Prime Minister. Mr. President, Rody Duterte, Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Yassai, very distinguished guest of the Cabinet of the Philippines, and my fellow Jewish community and countrymen. And this is really a very, very unique moment, a very moving and a very exciting moment for me to see the President of the Philippines in the synagogue coming to greet the community on such a very unique day, end of Rosh Hashanah, and Ben Kesel HaAsor, which is a unique chapter in our tradition, where we are actually doing our soul search and waiting for the judgment of God for all our action, deeds, wrong and right. Mr. President, the history of our two nations is intertwined long before we became two states. And this affinity and bondship is marked by two incredible events. The first one, that is the story of rescue in the Philippines. That was in the late 30s, when the world suffers the darkest days in its history, the rise and fall of Nazi Germany. This is the time where the Jewish people are victims for being Jewish, not for doing anything wrong. And they are looking for a place to hide and shelter. Most of those countries who consider themselves enlightened nations fell into darkness, and as a result, they basically suffered the biggest moral defeat. But of all places of the world, it was this Philippines that was struggling to become a state, that through a great leadership and good moral conviction of its president of the time, the first elected president, Manuel Quezon, who decided to open the gates of the Philippines to Jewish people, Jewish refugees. 1,300 of them reached the shores of the Philippines. Many others would have come if not for the war and if not for the politics of the time. But those 1,300s created generations. And you, Mr. President, more than anyone else, know this story and connected to the story. This is practically a great moral victory of the Philippines against the moral defeat of those who considered themselves enlightened nations in those days. The second chapter of our relationship starts with another Manuel Rojas, who was the only president, the only country, Philippines was the only country to vote for the creation of Israel. That makes it possible for me to stand here today as an ambassador. And these are indeed two unique pillars in our history, which shaped and carved our future as nations and as people and as friends. And we always looked at these unique relationships under the banner of friends indeed, our friends indeed. And as a result, by the way, in 1969, the government of Israel decided to abolish visa requirement for the Philippines, since Philippines opened the gates of its country and also opened the hearts of the people to the Israeli and Jewish people. It is just a right thing to do to open the gates of Israel to Filipinos. Ever since then, we are indeed on a road of very healthy friendship and cooperation, and that was also shown during the Yolanda tragedy, where Israel was the first country to come to the Philippines with a major humanitarian operation. Israel is a country that is very involved in many aspects of Filipino life. That includes from agriculture, food security, and medicine, and whatever you can refer to as a bilateral relationships. And we definitely appreciate, Mr. President, your coming here today as a great sign of friendship to Israel and the Jewish people. Thank you for this honor.
Thank you, Ambassador. And now a message from the President of the Synagogue, Paul Rosenberg.
President Rodrigo Duterte, I'd like to thank you for honoring us with your presence this evening. On behalf of the Jewish community of the Philippines, I would like to extend our best wishes to President Rodrigo Duterte, members of the government, and the Filipino people for a healthy, happy, and prosperous new year ahead. I'd also like to mention that the Jewish community has been in Manila for over 100 years. During this time, throughout this entire time, we've only experienced the exceptional warmth and hospitality of the Filipino, and for this we are deeply appreciative. We hope that this will continue for many, many more years in the future. Thank you very much.
Now may we call on Secretary Prefecto Yasai Jr., Secretary of Foreign Affairs, to introduce our special guest.
My brothers and sisters in the faith, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Thank you very much, and can you please sit down? Thank you for the courtesy. Secretary Yasai of my government, Secretary General Esperon, rather, Secretary of is my National Security Advisor. Hibiben Matiao, it's pronounced if by Ben Matit Yao, the first ambassador to the Philippines, Rabbi Elijah Azaria, the Rabbi Elihu Azaria, that's how it's pronounced. Mr. Rosenberg, Mr. Lee Blumenthal, the Director of the Jewish Community in the Philippines, ladies and gentlemen. I came here with a prepared speech so that we can be together and me to share the blessing of the day for the Rosh Hashanah. But more than that, I will not read my prepared speech. I would rather just deliver maybe what my presence here. Well, it was a compelling one. First, because I'd like to greet you on your holiday. And second, because I would like to apologize. And it comes from the heart. You know, I have been mayor of Davao City for the last 23 years. Then I was a congressman, a member of the assembly. Then also I was a vice mayor to my daughter. And before that, I was 10 years a prosecutor in court. You know, it's my character. And I'm easy to, that's what I am. I mean, I am I and you are you. And God created me to be in this way, I suppose. But one day, when I was coming home from Laos, I was a bit tired. We were on the plane. We arrived at 2 o'clock in the morning from the ASEAN summit. And part of the briefing was really that I was pictured by the media guys, especially those who are against me on the political side, the other side of the fence, that I was portrayed and pictured as Hitler. And so, true to my character, actually, I am one who would never say, no, I am not that. I just would write on this and say, okay, I am a Hitler and I will murder these 3 million drug addicts. But in doing so, I mentioned the word Jewish. And that was what was terribly wrong. And for that, I apologize. But I have never and as you can see, I am not one of the racist members of this republic. Be it the Moro tribe, the Muslim, or any other region, you have never heard me talk about race and religion. But it was only because that they pictured me to be killing so many persons and because of the drug problem. And I would say that it is true. But not all were killed with their backs tied behind their backs. That would have been an exaggeration. When I was mayor, I realized of the drug severity in Davao City. And so I had to control the flow of drugs and control crime. Because whenever there are so many drugs, there are so many crimes. Because a user is always a pusher. And he pushes to another person to have, to contaminate another one, to spend for his behavior. And this victim will now look for another victim and so on and so forth. And that is why conflagration of epidemic. And it was appalling. And I was very certain of what I was doing. In Davao, this is what I'd say that if you are a criminal, and your intelligence people would tell you this, if you are a criminal, if you are a drug lord, if you are for a kidnap or ransom, gun for hire, go out of the city because I will kill you. Because I have to build the city, a habitable city, one that people will enjoy to live. And there are many Israelites there in Davao, and they can tell you that it's not only up to those threatening words. Because there is no law in my land which says that I cannot threaten criminals. And that's unaccepted in other countries. When you threaten criminals, enemies with death, because they pose a harm or danger against you, it's perfectly all right. But you know that issue, which is all garbage in the Davao City politics, but it was not even mentioned. I'm sure you are residents of Manila. And I was there during even you might have listened to the debates politically. You have not heard any issue about extrajudicial. It was a non-issue to me. And even during the debates, no candidate ever came up with that issue. But when my rating went up, and I was already number one and a viable candidate for the presidency, they dished out that garbage of, it is true, I'm very strict. It is true that I would be a danger to criminals. I never denied it. And when I became president, until I was able to squeeze everyone, that the naked truth came out. That there were about 700, hundreds of thousands of addicts. And we have stopped counting because I'm waiting for the final report, because it would reach a 1 million mark. Now remember, if you have been a resident of this place 3 years ago, you must have heard General Santiago said that we have already 3 million drug addicts. If you add that to the 1 million I am expecting to be the incremental increase of all of those years, I would have about 4 million drug addicts. When I was in Laos, I had a talk with Widodo, President Widodo. And we had this time to talk about drugs in our respective countries. And I asked him, how many drug addicts do you have in Indonesia? And he answered, 4 million. Now, I have this confirmed 3 million during the time of General Santiago 3 years before. And I was just playing with my mind that I said there's no dissimilarity, because I am sure by the end of this year I would have about 4 million. Indonesia is a big country. It has 3 great islands and it has 240 million people. The Philippines is an archipelago, scattered islands, then also have 4 million of a population of 1,400,000. How am I supposed to do? What else could I be? Except to be threatening, and maybe they might just be afraid and stop. It could be a deterrent, if you may. Stop, I said. Because when I became president and squeezed everybody, turns out, no, you saw on TV, every people, thousands of them in every city in the Philippines, lining up, surrendering, and seeking to be cured. But, in the meantime, I was taking a hard stance. And it will be until the last pusher is taken out of the streets. It will be relenting, and I will not stop, even if it take me the whole of the 6 years of my term. I am putting on the table, at risk, my life, my honor, and the presidency itself. Means nothing to me. If I'm taken out of office, fine. So long as I just say that I will do my duty and do what I promised to the people. I will stop corruption, drugs, and criminality. And my God, if I have to die doing it, I will anytime. That's what I promised to the people, and it is a sacred promise. I will do it. And I will not stop despite the hypocrisy of the European EU and America and Obama. Now, they seem to refuse to understand. I became president midterm. What is left of the money of the government after the election of last June is only good for maintenance, MOOE. Nothing else. And I would say that, why is Duterte killing them? Why does not he build so many rehab centers so that they can be cured? And I said, and despite of my explanation, it was never carried by media. Neither in the domestic or what I have said, men judge best when they condemn. So whatever reason you have, it's none. It's of no moment to them. I said, I do not have the money. We're preparing now this budget for implementation of next year. That's what your government does. And this budget that I am operating on was prepared the other year by Aquino. But he never foresaw the problem until I became President of June last year. It was then we realized that there are really millions and millions of drug addicts. And this will destroy the country. I am very sure of that. 4 million scattered around the Philippines with congressmen, governor, mayors, 11 generals, judges in the list. It's either they are on the take or the generals are doing it themselves. So when I became president, I fired 6 generals of the Philippine National Police. And I warned them that I will really kill you if you do it. You continue with your business, I will kill you. Because there is no other way to do it. In face of this barangay that is the smallest political unit, it's the barangay, then the municipality, then the city, the province. There are 6,000 barangay captains doing their own thing, manufacturing sabu. How am I supposed to deal with? Sometimes I'm tempted really to declare martial law. But it is not feasible to say, we're fine. That's why I declared a state of lawlessness. Because narco-politics has entered my country. Just like the failed states of South America, where the portals of the national government was already tainted with narco-politics when they elected Senator De Lima. The Secretary of Justice was responsible under his watch. One of the bureaus was the National Penitentiary. And it was there where drugs were manufactured, drugs were sold. And so the story of narco-politics is complete in my country. And you guys in the intelligence community know it. As a matter of fact, I told my Secretary of Defense, and of course, General Esperon, that we will, this is not to flatter you because I have sinned against you. No. I have apologized, and you accept it, fine. If you don't, I'm really very sorry. It was not intended. It was just a mental slip of the numbers of 3 and Hitler. It had nothing to do with the memories of the Jews. Because in my country, we do not tinker memories of our ancestors. That's a no-no. It was just the play of my tongue. Hitler's was the number. And I said, I would not hesitate to kill this idiot. Yeah, I really will. What's the problem about that? Because if I don't interdict the problem now, then I will have a failed state by the next generation. I would have compromised. You know, a drug addict first begins to steal in his own house. He begins to steal on some other people's house. He gets things that somebody else's own. And then there was a rampaging crime. There is a social dysfunction. A family dysfunction start with, a social function in your place, then it places everybody in danger. How many times, oh, you are residents here, how many times have you read of newspapers detailing how an 11-month-old baby was raped, how a mother was killed because the son was asking for money? You are not a stranger to that news. I am very sure of that. That is the reason why my mouth opens like this. And then here comes the human rights attacking me and Obama and the State Department. You know, these guys who are mighty and very strong, industrialized, they don't just do matter. They insult small nations. We are a member of the United Nations. So if you are a president of a country who's a member of the United Nations and you have a gripe against me, open the talk and subject matter in the United Nations. Then maybe the United Nations or whatever the Security Council will decide to investigate, then they would order one of the organs under the United Nations is the Human Rights Commission. Then they should send a rapporteur to investigate me, give the results to Ban Ki-moon, and Ban Ki-moon will now call my attention for what is the United Nations, what is its use. If you just insult people without any investigation, I've only said, go, arrest them, and if they present a violent resistance, and if you are the policeman or military man, and your life is in danger, kill them. I just came from the hospital. I just came from another. I lose 2 policemen a day. Is that really extrajudicial killing? Why would I allow even one single policeman to die if I'm into it? You might shoot people at a distance. You need not really go near him and have yourself slaughtered too. And the problem is, I'm very emotional because America has certainly failed us. Instead of being a friend, it's election time, and they just, go ahead and talk, reprimand another president in front of the international. Is that good? You have a president, Netanyahu. He does not want himself even corrected in public. He will answer you. You know, I'm sure you're familiar with how Netanyahu responds to vicious attacks against his policy. You hear him out. He does not care. America? He does not listen to America. Oh, just shut up. We have our own problem. We will solve it our way. But did they ever chastise? Can they ever chastise Netanyahu? No. Because he will not allow it. And other presidents may be, but me, I will not. Then what is your defense now? If media misquotes you, if media does not publish all what you say, or media slants it a little bit, and you have no defense, here am I trying to explain. My explanation never reaches the front pages. It is not even given a slight. All they want is, they don't even know the feelings of the Filipinos or my feelings. They worried of the feelings of EU, Obama, and the human rights. They are worried about how these guys feel towards the Philippines, when after all, they do not really care. And that is why I said, if this is what happens now, I will be reconfiguring my my foreign policy. Eventually,